Have you checked the children? Your little Mesa.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Greetings, Fright fans, and welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Jaime and Fuego, and back for another patron-requested review. And this one was a long time coming, since the beginning of 2022, post-holidays and everything like that. We have been trying to catch up on a lot of these, and this is one that I was legit pleasantly surprised by. And it doesn't always happen with our friend Samuel Glass, but he had sent, I believe myself and Cecil both received these DVD copies of a film from 1975 that I had never heard of, and it's called The Devil's Reign. And it's got some serious star power. Most notably, I have to double check on his name, but Ernest Borgnine? Yeah, I'm totally butchering, I know, but that Academy Award-winning actor, somebody he was like, he had that transitionary ability because he was on like McHale's Navy, but then I know he won like a best actor or best supporting actor for something that he did post World War II, which is when he even got into acting in the first place. But also have William Shatner in this movie, Tom Skerritt. I don't know if he has any dialogue, if I remember from when I recently watched this, but John Travolta's even in this movie too. So it is very much of that sort of grindhousey sort of sleaze that you had in the 60s and 70s, and yet a lot of that stuff doesn't always hit, but when it does, it's very compelling. And despite limited budget and ambition was what really, I would say, especially in the practical effects, and we will get to that later on. But so this is one that, as far as the story itself goes, stretches generations because of the fact that there is this evil cult that goes back, I think, hundreds of years, if I remember, like back to like the days of like the Pilgrims and stuff, and like frontier settlers, thereafter. But there is a family who basically took a book that had all of these like satanic and incantations and everything, and advice about how to bring about a crazy apocalyptic sort of situation. And this family, which is the family of Shatner and Skerritt, they hid that away, and they have been protecting it from this evil cult that has been trying to get a hold of it, these Satanists. And they don't have like some specific sort of name of distinction. They're just they're straight up Satanists. And that's another name that I have to throw out because of the fact that Anton LaVey, who I believe was the founder of the Satanic Temple or the Church of Satan. I know there's various ones, and we've even covered them here on the show, but he was a very noteworthy proponent of Satanism. And he's in the movie. He's in a small role. He's only in a couple different scenes, but he was also consulted as an advisor for this particular film too. And a lot of people have gone on record to say that it's some of the most accurate presentation, which is, it's amusing to me because of the fact that they are still not, in my estimation, portrayed as being like a positive segment, but sector or organization or whatever, but definitely an entertaining one in this film because story-wise, the book had been in this significant protection. It's like under floorboards, as you see at the very beginning. And William Shatner goes to this particular town where Ernest's character is the head of this, and I guess, cell of Satanism. And it's also this beaten down old western town, but still looks very convincing from the interiors to all of the outside stuff, which I'll get to at least in a little bit more detail and depth and stuff. But Shatner is good. He's doing his typical post Star Trek post Star Trek TV series and getting into the film career as Kirk, but he's good in this, despite his, like, if you're familiar with Shat and how he goes about things, this was a period in the mid-70s when he was doing a lot of stuff like this, and he's entertaining. And so he goes missing, and Tom Skerritt, his brother, actual like biological brother and everything, he goes along with his wife and an elderly researcher who has been working on some stuff with him to this town to try to see, what has transpired and the full extent of what Ernest's character as this transformative leader, without getting into any super spoilery stuff, is attempting to do. And it's entertaining. It's schlocky, but it's of that best variety where you can tell that it was made with some legit love and affinity for the subject matter specifically. The title, The Devil's Reign, actually, it ties in specifically with a bunch of souls that are harbored in an orb, and also just what happens when these people are actually assimilated into the cult. There is, first and foremost, almost a loss of personhood, and they're wearing like robes and stuff like that. But they're also blind, and they have these like gouged out eyes that were not actually taken out. It was just a transformative process, when they're brought in. And so, yeah, Scarrett is there with, said wife and his older buddy who has some insight and some interest in everything. And that's about where I have to veer away. But as I really want to talk about the practical effects in this movie, Sam, specifically to you, man, because this was great. When there are these, the eye makeup, and I'm not sure what they actually did to get the empty look in the eyes. It was probably a combination of makeup and, I'm not sure if in 1975 they were really using a lot of silicone or anything, but then again, I'm not as knowledgeable about that part of the process as Robert Duvall or some of the other awesome peeps, that we have worked with here on the show, but they all looked good. And I also really enjoyed the eerie essence of the fact that it was almost pseudo-Western, with this abandoned town where all of these eyeless people are living, with Ernest Borgnine, as I keep not wanting to butcher his name. But I just always think of him from Basketball, and then also from his smaller role in the McHale's Navy movie with Kelsey Grammer. But yeah, talk about versatility on that guy too, and the fact that he can be super dramatic and win an Oscar for that, but then also be so funny. He is hilarious in Basketball. I know this isn't a review of a sports movie or anything, but Ernest is great in this, and the aforementioned transformativeness that we get from him, because when his character is introduced that he is evil incarnate in that particular spot, okay? But there is a transformation where we see his actual form, and it's horns and just almost like a snout, as opposed to, he does have a decently big nose already, but and those teeth, man, the tooth gap, like, I know it's a big thing with like these sexy like models overseas and stuff like that, like having that sort of gap tooth, but for him it works from a comedic standpoint. But that's why it was so startling for him to be playing such a convincingly sinister person. And his casual conversation early on with William Shatner about, when like he's giving him some water, it was, I don't know, it was so much better from a expectation standpoint, and I guess I should have known with all of the talent assembled that this was going to be good. And the best scene in the entire film is probably at the very end, though, and not a spoiler for me to mention this. That's why I'm using the pause and the hesitation and everything, but there's melting. There's melting, and there's a lot of melting. And it looks awesome. Now, granted, if anything, from a production/editing standpoint, maybe it does go on for a little longer than it should, but it looks so rad status. It is up there for me with the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark as far as melting goes, because it is gross and very convincing. And even from the sound design standpoint, the sounds of the cries and the despair from these people, it's good, Sam. This was definitely, it's in the upper echelon of the recommendations that you have had for us here so awesomely on the horror show. And that's about all I got, without veering into just what happens with Shatner's character and his brother, Tom Skerritt, who would go on to do Alien a few years later, but very talented IMDb in his own right. And yeah, I was so awesomely surprised. There's lots of rad status bonus features on that DVD that Sam was kind enough to send out to us. So that's like a grande gracias, double down on that shizzle. that he actually sent us physical copies of this. If you would like to check it out yourself, and I definitely, if you're a fan of satanic cinema from the 70s, you need to jump over to Shudder, where for $4.99 a month, I think it is, you can check this out, and that's about the same price you would spend to rent it on VOD from, you know, Amazon or Vudu or wherever you do your rental stuff. But Sam, awesome one here. I was very impressed, especially from just the dedication to the practicality of the time and the slamminess of it. It was fun, and also just seeing some of these actors in these younger roles and in a setting that, I mean, William Shatner in a movie about satanic people. I was like, what? But it worked. It really genuinely did. So, a grande gracias once more to Sam for the recommendation here on Patreon. If you would like to become a patron yourself, we have all of the information in the description box below. Some of these stay Patreon exclusive, where we have over 100 videos that are just residing there. And then others are, you know, they make their way over to the YouTube channel eventually. But this is one that I definitely recommend. So great on Sam, and we treasure your friendship, dude. So thank you so very much. And until next time, Freight fans, I have been Jaime and Fuego, and remember to stay scared.